1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, after a 2-week hiatus, vacation, then we're celebrating, July 4th, the greatest country that God's green earth has ever seen, the United States of America. Country and Cold Cans is back. I'm Logan, sitting here with Trucker Andy and Kyle. Be sure to follow us on the social media, the Twitter, the Facebook, the Instagram, the TikTok, the YouTube, and check out the website, coldcansnetwork.com. That is coldcansnetwork.com. We've got a shop with our hats and our koozies. Buy some merch. And while you're at it, give us 5 stars and a great review on Spotify, Apple Podbean, Podcasts, or Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. We're available these days. So give us 5 stars, great review, and share it with your friends. All right, fellas, did y'all do anything? Kyle, I saw you over July 4th. Andy, what did you do for America's Day of Independence?
I headed west, young man, whoever, the Teddy Roosevelt.
I don't know.
Some guy said that from the past. That's what I did.
Where'd you go?
I am in Washington State.
Out there with, would you say Spokane?
Spokane.
It's where Gonzaga University is.
That's right.
Didn't know that. It's actually pretty nice here.
You hanging out with Mark Few, your basketball coach?
Yeah.
Chet
He's at the
Holmgren.
Mexican restaurant.
Yeah, well, don't get in the car with him. He probably had a couple margaritas.
You should go to the Palouse where Washington State is? That's near Spokane somewhere. It's in eastern. No,
Yeah,
Spokane's
somewhere.
Spokane's the western part, right?
I don't know. I don't know
That's
geography.
eastern. Seattle's the west.
Okay, so you're near the Palouse where Washington State is.
Yeah.
Cool area there. Seen it on TV, never been.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been a couple weeks, like I said, since we've reconvened here on the Cold Cans Network. So anything strike your fancy in the music world recently? Any new singles, any releases that you've heard or haven't heard and you want to listen to?
Yeah. Bailey Zimmerman's new song came out. I'm liking that guy. He sounds like a very late 2000s rock sound, which I was definitely a fan of.
I would say mixed with some country influence. There's pretty heavy pedal steel on that song you sent.
Yeah, the only reason I know that is because I heard Grady Smith mention that. I didn't even hear it.
Well, it was very noticeable in the mix. But the thing about Bailey Zimmerman,
Allegedly.
for the people that are listening, if you like some stuff that leans mainstream, you'll like him. If you don't like mainstream at all, you're not going to like him. I guess that's fair to say, Andy.
Yeah.
I mean, with the really independent fans are not going to like that guy.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to like, yeah. I think that I would say that from there being a bias and they hate anybody that's popular. And the words of
it's also
Smith,
not their style either, but
some independent people though like the old like Hinder sound and all that stuff. Grew up in that world.
But they're not
that
going to
was a
like
thing.
it because it's being packaged as country.
Those people just don't like anything either though.
They don't like it if it gets popular. I'm sure there are some people that have probably turned on Tyler Childers at this point.
Yeah. In the words of Grady Smith, Bailey Zimmerman has the potential to be the next Morgan Wallen. I would say it might be
he is getting
a little
some pretty
early
big,
and a stretch. But
he is getting some pretty big streaming numbers, but I think, like I said, I think some of that comes from his TikTok. He's another one of those. I think that I liked 2 of his songs that I've heard, so I think that I need to avoid his TikTok because typically when I find out an artist has a TikTok and they got famous because of TikTok, it makes me like them less. So
that one guy that we made fun of.
Warren Zeters.
Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
No, I think it's Ziders, Andy, isn't it?
Yeah, whatever.
Because you kept telling me it was Zeters and it was wrong. I think it was Ziders, Warren Ziders.
You know what? His name is whatever I say it is.
Tomato, Zeters. Yeah, not that big of a deal.
Yeah. Either way, I'm probably going to avoid his TikTok.
It's very smart.
Yeah.
I've been infatuated with Austin Meade's EP. I really like 2 of the 3 songs. Not so
Retweet.
much. Yeah, not so much on Red Roof Estates. That one just never really kind of sat with me.
Yeah.
But Loser Mentality and Varsity Type.
Varsity Type.
Yep, Varsity Type. I love those 2 songs, man. I think I told you, if this guy would have come out when I was in 9th grade, I would have just loved this dude. I can see this guy playing at Warped Tour. It's
I could
nothing
see
really.
It doesn't exist anymore, apparently.
Really, I didn't know that.
I read the title of an article that it said that like died out, and it was like the why or something. I didn't read it, so obviously you know what you get reading headlines, but
Well, yeah, when
apparently that
everybody
doesn't exist.
when everybody goes to Warped Tour now as kids, I could see why. But yeah, really good EP. It's nothing country about it. It just makes good music.
Yeah,
I think I've been a fan of every song we've covered on the podcast of his. Also listening to Here Comes the Hate. Listening to the new Luke Combs album.
See, I like Luke Combs. You ain't
I
gonna
do
get
as
any
well.
hate from me on that. I like that album.
North
It's
Carolina boy.
it's very much a Luke Combs album.
It's
I don't say that as a negative. It's a safe down the middle, 90s country influenced mainstream record. I mean,
as Andy says about Riley Green, it's more Riley Green. It's more Luke Combs.
yeah. And I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with that. Luke Combs is the either 1 or 1B, 1A, however that fucking saying goes. He's one of the two biggest stars in country music right now. It's him and Wallen. I mean, Luke,
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
It's him and Wallen, and it's not really up for debate. Whether you like their music's a different thing, but I like Luke Combs. I don't like him as much as I would say the heavy radio listeners do, because I mean that guy's popular for a reason. He's selling out stadiums. My mother loves him. But he puts on a good show. He makes music that is obviously country, and you don't feel like an idiot for listening to it like you do when you listen to that Florida Georgia Line stuff from years ago.
I haven't really met someone, even people that don't really like country music, don't strongly dislike him.
Well, see, I know a couple people that don't like country at all, and they love the two people that they've really listened to on their own a lot that I introduced them to are Luke Combs and Tyler Childers. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Those two
that's
just
fair.
resonate with a wide audience for
Polar
whatever reason.
opposites.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is, like I said, my buddy does not like country at all. And he loves both. And he said that he thinks that, and I agree with him on this, he thinks that Tyler Childers is better than Luke.
Yeah. I would get behind that statement. But yeah, that's what I've been listening to a lot recently. So I'm a big fan of both of them.
Yeah, I've been listening to that too. I think we'll probably have something on that here soon with the new Luke album. Because I mean, like I said, when him and Wallen release records, you can't ignore them because they are the two biggest.
You did not ignore the
artists.
Wallen album, Andy.
I hadn't learned, but Luke Combs, I hadn't listened.
Okay.
I hadn't heard a single song.
Okay. Yeah, but you did not ignore the Wallen album.
Yeah, I was about to say you definitely didn't ignore that record.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely listen to Wallen, but the Luke Combs one, I've honestly until y'all mentioned it the other day, I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah, but I mean, like I said, we'll probably have something on that here in the next couple of weeks because he is arguably the biggest artist in the genre, and he put out a quality record. I don't think it's one of his strongest that he's put out, but it's a fine record. But yeah, I've been listening to that too. I started diving into some stuff that we had already covered here on this podcast for this episode because we've been talking about doing our top 3 favorite records of 2022 so far. Last year we did this midway through the year. We're doing it again this year where we're going to talk about each of our individual top 3 favorite records. And when we say favorite, we aren't necessarily saying we think these are the best records. They can be what we think are the best, but it's really just the ones that we related to the most. So that's why we always like to put that distinction in there. These are our top 3 favorite records of 2022 so far. So we're going to go through that, and then we're going to have a few honorable mentions at the end. But if we want to kick things off, Andy, with your third favorite record that's been released thus far in the year of 2022.
Oh, let's see, which one do I want to put in third? I'll put Flower Shots, the album by Earn, in third. Going into it, every time I've listened to Ernest before this album, I didn't really like it that much, and I just purposely chose not to listen to it because I didn't want to not like him because he's such a funny guy and I like him as a person. But then when we did this album, I really like this album. I don't know if it's one of I just expected to not like it, and then I ended up liking it, which makes you like it more. I don't know if it's one of those things, but I just really liked it.
So just to clarify, you really liked it?
Yeah.
All right, Kyle, what's your number 3?
My 3 is number 3 is Raised by Haley Witters. I was a big stan for this whole record when we covered the single Everything She Ain't. Yeah, like I said, up until the number 1 album that I think we all three share came out, I was saying back in March that I think, back-to-back years of female artists dropped the best record at the time in March of their respective year. Unfortunately, she ran into a buzzsaw that we'll talk about later.
Fair.
But this whole album's phenomenal. I really like hearing young and up-and-coming female country singers. And I just love her voice, man. She has a very, very unique voice. Very similar to Morgan Wade. It's very different. It's not generic voice. That's my number 3 for the year.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback off of you on that, number 3 for me also was Haley Witters' Raised. Haley Witters is the kind of artist that shows you that country music, and it's obviously country, with pop sensibilities is not inherently a bad thing. She is pop country done well. And when you hear the lead single, Everything She Ain't, it really gives me heavy Dixie Chick vibes from There's Your Trouble.
It's like the best album of all time.
I love that song too, but it's like that's the kind of feeling that record that song gives me, and I just think that's a fantastic song that she sent to radio. I think this is going to be the album that kind of gets her some traction in the mainstream. And then I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that I love Middle of America, her duet she did with BJ Barnum of American Aquarium. I think that's just it's a very heartland rock leaning song, but it just talks about, middle America and just, what it's kind of like growing up in that type of environment. And it's just a fun song to listen to. So a lot of good songs on that record. So for me, number 3 also is the Haley Witters album. All right, Andy, number 2.
This one's actually somewhat similar to Flower Shops. Fortune Favors the Bold by 49 Winchester. On paper, 49 Winchester, I should be their number 1 fan because they are basically everything that I've ever loved. But for some reason, everything they've ever put out never really clicked until this album. Like, it just clicked with me. And Annabelle is a fire song. And it's a great way to start an album too, and it raises the whole album up along with it. Even the rest of it's great too. But I love that song, so that's definitely my favorite song off that album.
All right, Kyle.
I even like. You go ahead.
Continue, Andy.
I even like the beginning of that song that you guys hate.
Oh yeah, the weird.
That part's growing on me, but
I even like that.
All right, Kyle, number 2 for you on 2022 so far.
So my number 2 is Randall King Shot Glass, more kind of the mainstream route, but this is just pure-blooded country music that I grew up listening to, and just a modern take. And I love the song Roger Miller Light Me. I play that song on repeat when I listen to it. I just can't, when it goes to, I hit the back button, I'm assuming, the replay, whatever, the back button on your steering wheel thing when you listen to it. I love the whole album. I even like that he has the I'll Fly Away, which is a take on a hymn. It's a cool little trick at the end of the album. But yeah, I really love this album. I love his voice.
He's got a very smooth country voice.
Yeah, I'm surprised he's not bigger than he is. I'm surprised I haven't heard him on mainstream country radio yet.
This was his first album release on a mainstream label.
That might be why. But yeah, I love this album. It's so good. I hate that we didn't cover it when it came out. March was kind of a bad month to come out because me and you were on the Haley Witters' jockstrap.
Yeah.
That month, but yeah. So good, man. Just phenomenal. Yeah. I'm sure Andy hates it because he hates country music, but
probably.
I don't think I've actually listened to it.
Yeah, because
Randall King is a little too bit for me. I love his voice, but he's a little bit too much pure country for me. For me to really like it.
This says the founder of a podcast called Country and Cold Cans.
Yeah, this is stuff that I grew up when I was a kid listening to, and it just, like I said, it's a modern. He's a young guy who's probably about our age, making music that he probably grew up listening to, just like we did, and I really respect that.
Oh yeah, I mean he always talks about the '03 Dirk Bentley self-titled debut as being one of his favorite records, and
such a good album too.
I totally vibe with that because I love that record. But yeah, Randall King's legit. I've been a big fan of his for a long time. All right, number 2 for me is also 49 Winchester, 14 Favorites the Bold. I think this is the record for them. Just like I said with Hailey Whitters, it's going to get them a lot more attention, get them a lot better gigs at bigger festivals, bigger stages. They're going to kind of catapult them to be able to play bigger venues and just get more, exposure in general. Annabelle, like Andy said, is a fantastic song. I love Russell County Line. I mean, we talked about this record relatively in depth on episode 64 of Country and Cold Can, so check out that for a full deep dive by us into this album. But Isaac Gibson's voice is amazing. I love listening to him sing a song. And this record, songwriting strong, production strong, the vocals are strong. This was probably what I initially thought was going to be my album of the year first time I listened to it. But as Kyle said, along came another artist that we'll get to here in a second. I'm pretty sure it'll be across the board for us. But for me, definitely 14 Favorites the Bold by 49 Winchester was my second favorite record of the year so far in 2022. So, all right, Andy, I think this is probably the least anticipated, or at least, what's the word? Shocking. Not anticipated, but at least shocking anticlimactic from all of us here. What's your number 1?
Oh, it's probably a new Florida Georgia Line album.
They just broke up.
Well, shows how much I know about them. is definitely the masterpiece of American Heartbreak. Zachy B.
All right, Kyle.
Retweet. My only complaint is it's just too damn long. But it's I
don't even hate that. I would have agreed with you before the album.
I mean, that's really the only thing I can criticize it for. I mean, and we really can't. I really kind of sound hypocritical for that because we didn't make fun of Morgan Wallen for releasing the double album, and that's like 30 songs.
Yeah,
even though
I'm not upset when someone releases a double album if they do it well.
Oh, he did it phenomenally.
Zach Bryan definitely did.
Yeah, he nailed it, every part of it. It's the first time I've ever felt overwhelmed listening to an album.
Oh, 34 is a lot. It's a commitment. I tell everyone
not even that.
I recommend the record. It's a commitment.
It wasn't even the fact that it's 34 songs. It's 34 deep, thoughtful songs.
Yeah, yeah.
You can't just passively listen to it the first time.
No, because you only listen to it once, you miss a lot.
Yeah, you miss so much. And so, I mean, it was like you said, it's a real commitment to listen to that album, but it's just phenomenal. Top to bottom, front to back.
Yeah, and for me, number 1, probably the biggest shock of the year, is also American Heartbreak by Zach Bryan. From the aesthetics of the album cover to the production differences he has a little bit more of his traditional Zach Bryan, a little more stripped back, almost demo style songs, but then he also has some fully fleshed out studio songs. It's kind of the first time we've got to hear that. Like when we first heard when he released From Austin as a single, like the songwriting is top tier, the production works. I love the themes of not the genre Americana, whatever the fuck that is, but the Americana aspects of this record, of just being like we talked about on his album review, the 2-part album review we did, just speaking to the American experience. And I think as someone who is roughly his age and can identify with a lot of the things he sang about, this album just like I'm the prime demographic for this record, and I just relate so much to so many of these songs. And it's one of those things, like you said, Kyle, you can't just listen to it once to truly get it. You need multiple listens, and that takes time because some bitch is 34 songs long. So
I remember the first time I listened first time through it, I was on the way home. And when She's All Right came on, I just sat in the driveway with the truck running and just sat there for whatever 3 or 4 minutes, however long it is. I just didn't move. Just was captivated. Just sat there and listened to it.
That song, when I first heard it, gave me like goosebumps,
Oh my god, so heavy.
especially at the very end
It's
when the
something.
voicemail from his mother
Yeah.
comes on. Oh my
So-
gosh, put me right in my feels
Yeah, dude.
when I listen to that
Hits
song.
you right here in the cold black heart that me and Andy have.
Yeah.
But it's y'all were like the Grinch when with Cindy Lou Who.
It's
When
hard
you
to
listen to
three
that song,
sizes that day.
your heart grew 3 sizes that day thanks to Zach Bryan's American Heartbreak.
Or it just makes it shrink even more because it's so sad.
But no, like the overall variety he has on this record too, I think is fantastic.
It's a masterpiece.
It's going to be hard pressed for someone to unseat this as my album of the year. So sorry if that's anticlimactic as well for the end of the year show we do where we unveil our record of the year like we did with Morgan Wade last year. But this is got the inside track by a long ways right now for my record of the year.
Unless his rumored tweet that I sent you the other day where he just dropped something else.
Yeah. It's him and who was it? It was him and maybe I can't remember. Somebody tweeted the other day. I think they were maybe saying Luke Combs, but they definitely was Zach Bryan. They were saying that they wonder if Zach Bryan's well is going to run dry with the rate that he's just churning out song after song. Like if his creative muse is just going to disappear by the time he's 35, because this guy just cranks out tunes left and right. And he's cranking out quality tunes. Like we heard that live video of what was it? Oklahoma. Was it Oklahoma Smoke Show?
Yeah, I think that's the name of it.
That word's offensive apparently, but Oklahoma Smoke Show.
I love that song.
I love that song. I love that.
I hope that comes out.
I mean, like
y'all have any?
He teased 15 songs, on the 15th, according to what I sent you.
Yeah, you did.
So I mean, that was from his Twitter handle. So
yeah, I mean, I'm excited to hear it.
Y'all have any other anticipations or predictions for the second half?
I don't really have any like anticipated albums that I think are gonna run close to it. I have some honorable mentions, but do you guys have any anticipated records that you're waiting to come out?
I don't know if it's gonna. I don't think anything's been announced. It may be this year, maybe, but I think Megan Moroney's gonna have an album coming out soon, and everything she's put out so far has been great.
Yeah, her 2 singles she's released for what is presumably an upcoming project have been really good. She's a good follow on TikTok too, because like she plays acoustically bits and pieces of songs she's written. I think she's got talent, and the Hair Salon song is amazing. I love that song, from the production of it to the songwriting. It's like unique in the sense of how many times have we heard songs about hearing about your ex moving on in a hair salon? Like that's pretty unique in my mind. That was a fantastic song.
Zach Bryan, I don't think it's going to happen this year. And if it ever happens, we can be hopeful. But Evan Felker did play a new song recently live. So
it's true. If we get a Turnpike
I don't think
record,
it'll be this year, though.
That might be the only thing I can think that would give it a run for its money. And I don't know if that's really going to be because, and I don't want to like be sacrilegious. Turnpike's one of my top 3 favorite bands of all time. I don't know if that's going to be because the album is going to be that good, or if it's been because they've been away for so long. You know what I mean? The absence makes the heart grow fonder scenario. Because I'm actually going to see them. They're playing in Raleigh, October 28th.
With American Aquarium opening.
Yeah. Me, Dustin, and Jenny are going to that. So I'm really excited about that one. That will be fun. I haven't seen Turnpike since the Ritz when Andy, me, you, and Chase went years ago.
Yep.
2018, actually.
On a school night.
But you guys have any? Go ahead.
I have a hunch Co's dropping something in the fall. It's been 2 years.
Yeah. And see, I'm really hype about a Co record, but no offense to.
Oh, it's not going to. Yeah, it's not going to.
I'm not going to. I don't think that Co's record is going to supplant Zach Bryan's record for me as album of the year. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be rocking and rolling with the new Co record.
Yeah, speaking of Co, Parker has got one coming in the works too, but I don't see that unseating Zach either.
No. I'm looking forward to both. But
hell, Parker's probably going to be 3 years in the future if it's anything like the last one.
Accurate. but I'm excited about it. I mean, shoot, we've heard some new Parker stuff on YouTube, and I heard a few of them in concert when I saw him. Go to the ColdCansNetwork.com. We have an article up now where he played his song Stoned live, and then there's also an acoustic version that he played that's available underneath that video. I recommend, if you want to really listen to the song, listen to the acoustic one. I think that's a fantastic song. He said that he wrote that song right after he finished Hollywood Gold Chain
Cowboy. So
that's why it's not on that record. But he was talking about releasing new music soon, and that one he said he's thought about releasing it as a single. But I think it's a really good song. Did you guys listen to it?
Nope.
Well, go to the article, ColdCansNetwork.com, the website. Click the second video if you want to listen to the song, like to be able to hear the lyrics really, really well. You need to listen to it. I think it's a very, very good song. It's called Stoned. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of the ones that I would say my anticipated ones. Kyle, do you have any honorable mentions you want to throw out there for ones that didn't quite make the top 3 of your favorites of 2022 so far?
Yeah. I don't want to steal all of them because I'm sure most of ours overlap. But I would like to give a shout out to one I mentioned was Miranda Lambert's Palomino.
Yeah. Andy won't have that one on his list because he hates
No, yeah, I figured he would. Obviously, I'd like
Definitely
to
not.
shout out Earn. I was a fan of that record. And there was one more. Oh, Caitlin Butts.
Oh, yeah. That was a really good record.
Yep. So,
Yeah, that one was good.
yep.
Andy?
So that's,
Yeah, I think we've listed about every album I can come up with that even came out this year.
There's been a lot more. Andy's just for a guy that helps run a music podcast and website. Andy stopped listening to music like 2 years ago.
I have the memory of a peanut. I can't remember what's come out this year.
Well, my honorable mentions are, like you said, the Caitlin Butts record was a fantastic album. It just barely got edged out by Hailey Whitters for number 3. The songwriting on that album is fantastic. That's definitely a recommended listen if you haven't heard that one yet. And then the other one for me is, again, one of my favorite bands is the American Aquarium album that just recently came out, Chickamauga. It's a very, very good record. If you like sad songs about loss, this record's full of them. Whether it's just your spouse dying, your parent dying, your friend killing themselves. Sounds like a very dour scenario, I know, with when you're talking about it. But if you know, you know, with American Aquarium, BJ knows how to do the gut punch tear jerkers. And this album is a very, very good bummer jam listen. A little bit different sonically, a little more sedated than what we have grown accustomed to from the Raleigh outfit. But it works. It's more in line with sonically with his solo album Rockingham than I would say it is with anything from like Burn Flicker Die to Wolves or anything like that. But very good album that I recommend. It was in my top 5, top 7, but not quite top 3. So definitely recommend Caitlin Butts' record and Chickamauga by American Aquarium. But those are my honorable mentions. Kyle, I also kind of want to make brief mention of Randall King, but you already had that in your list, so there's no need to rehash that. That was a good album. I wish Andy would give him more of a chance and learn that he's wrong about 90s influenced country.
He's got one song that I really like that came out in the past.
What was it?
This was a while ago. It was probably on one of his first albums.
Yeah.
I don't know if I heard it.
My favorite on that album is probably Around Forever.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Very good song.
It's a very sad, kind of reminds me of blanking on the name of the Air Church song, where he talks about, he'd never seen his dad cry till his granddad died.
Oh, yeah. Shoot, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's from Early Church.
Yep.
I think it was on Sinners Like Me.
Yeah, it was on that album. I'm blanking on the name of the song.
Those I've Loved.
Those I've Loved. Yep, that's exactly it. Yep. It's kind of the vibes I got off that song, which is anytime you can get a comparison to Early School, Air Church.
Yeah. That Around Forever song did what I liked for songs to do in songwriting, where it takes around forever and using that phrase in 3 different scenarios and makes it work. You know, I really vibe with that song. I like that a lot.
Wordplay, as Andy says.
Yeah.
I don't think I've listened to him since the Another Bullet EP.
So you
I like that EP.
So you missed probably his best album he put out a few years ago.
That EP's fire.
Andy only likes that one song because it says something about a cowboy, and there was once upon a time that him and Clint said they were cowboys.
I forgot the song even existed until I just looked it up. Hard Living Eileen that he did with Cleto, that song's fire.
Yeah, you haven't listened to his 2018 self-titled record?
Nope.
Cool Under Pressure, When He Knows Me, Dun-Dun-Dun, or Miss Me Days Are Gone. This Reason to Quit. These are Keep Her on the Line is so good. You need to listen.
Reason to Quit. I've heard that song.
That's your homework, Andy. You need to listen to that album. Kyle, you probably should too if you haven't.
Oh, I have.
Yeah, that's a very good album.
I went down a Randall King rabbit hole about a month ago.
Yeah, Randall King. I think Randall King is a little bit more our style of country that we liked growing up, more so than Andy. Andy was listening to Marshall Tucker Band and Green Day. And then a little bit.
I didn't grow up listening to country music until I was an adult.
I'm not hating on Green Day. I like Green Day.
Other than their singer
Dookie
wants to be
record was
deported.
a good record.
You said that.
Do what?
The singer for Green Day wants us to deport him back to Great Britain. He says he's going
They've never liked America.
He says he's going to denounce his citizenship. So.
I mean, American Idiot should have been a leading indicator that they weren't big fans. That was 20 years ago.
Yeah. If he's not allowed back in the country like that, how is he going to be able to tour here?
Yeah, he's wrote a few songs that have disdain for a certain, not the genre Americana, but the noun Americana.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't surprise me.
He's British. I mean, that's half their sense of humor.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah,
really
he's just
care
sour
anyway,
dude lost the war.
My favorite meme from July 4th was I saw some of the revolutionaries like walking along, and it says, "Have fun at work tomorrow, England."
That is funny.
Now, I will say, speaking of July 4th, it was kind of cool. It never sunk into me. And we grew up there, so I think that's why. I went to the fireworks show. I'm not a big firework guy to begin with. But I went to the fireworks show in Halifax on July 4th on Monday night. And standing there on Main Street, watching the fireworks in Halifax, North Carolina. For those of you that don't know, Halifax, North Carolina is the home of the first documented case of declaring their independence from Britain. The Halifax Resolves. April 12th, 1776. We beat the Virginians with the Lee Resolution by a month. So there's a reason some North Carolina plates say first in freedom and others say first in flight. But it's because of Halifax. Halifax is a town that now the latest census has it just under 200 citizens there. What's funny is in the 1700s when it was founded, it had 430 some residents. So it's significantly less now than it was in the 1700s. But George Washington, I believe, stayed there at one of the historic preserved buildings down the street. And it just kind of dawned on me. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching. I looked at our classic rock Carter. He was there and I said, not a big firework guy, but it's something about looking at these fireworks on July 4th, and one could argue one of the birthplaces of American independence. And it's just something, it hits different. It was very, very kind of a surreal moment when I got to thinking about it, because there's so much history in that tiny little town, the Halifax Resolves, and you had fireworks on July 4th. It was a very American moment that I don't think that as a child I could have processed. Kind of cool. Little dive into the mind of me about on Monday night. But dude, like, I wish that the schools in North Carolina especially would teach that more. That's a really cool, that's cool shit. The Halifax Resolves, that's cool shit.
I believe it's one of the dates on the North Carolina flag, isn't it?
I want to say it is.
Yep.
There's dates on the flag.
Yeah, there's two.
Andy's like, we have a flag.
1775. Yeah, I believe it is. I believe it's the top one. May 20th, 1775.
Oh no, it was.
There's more than one date.
It was April 12th, 1776.
Okay, so the 1775. What date does that one make? Man,
Predate 1776.
Would that be like the founding of the state?
no, that would have to be. We're just gonna Google it.
We need a Jamie on this show where we can just call out and be like, "Hey, we need this information. Google it."
May 20 is supposedly signed on May 20 in Charlotte, North Carolina, by a committee of citizens of Mecklenburg County who declared independence from Great Britain after hearing of the Battle of Lexington. If the story is true, it preceded the Declaration of Independence by more than a year. It says if. It's a big if.
Yeah. Well, we are confirmed with the Halifax Resolves.
Yeah, because there's documentation.
Documentation of it. That's the name of the game, people. Documentation.
That was Halifax Resolve. Yep, it is on the flag. Yep.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That's cool, though. Like, it's a very cool realization I had as an adult standing there on Main Street.
The biggest crime Halifax County has ever done is got rid of its old courthouse and built this ugly monstrosity.
Yeah.
It's this very old, like, late 18th century or late 19th century, early 20th century courthouse. And they just built this ugly ass.
Yeah.
What shit. But, yep, if you're riding on Interstate 95 and you get to exit 163, you'll see the sign.
Is it a 163? I didn't realize that.
I think it's right around one. It's right before you get to Darlington is where you can see it.
There's not an exit at 163. There's 160 and 168.
Yeah.
Okay, it might be 160. That's the Darlington exit.
It's the Enfield exit. Yeah.
Robbie's. Okay, so it's right there. It's right there where you can see the Halifax County First in Freedom.
There we go. You heard it here. If you have never heard it before, Country and Coal, Kansas, teaching people some history. Look at that. You never thought you'd get that. Some serious historical shit by listening to this show.
Yeah, take that to your school teacher and tell them.
Be like, look here, teacher lady. Or teacher man.
I know more than you.
Yeah. Bet you didn't know about the Halifax Resolves, did you, bitch?
I am a genius. So, walk in and tell them I am an island of perfection in an ocean of incompetence.
Oh, man. All right. Well, those are our top 3 favorite records of 2022 so far. Let us know what yours are because we'd like to see. And then, at the end of the year, like we did last year, we'll have an episode with our album of the year, the Country and Coal Cans album of the year. The reigning album of the year right now we still recommend is Morgan Wade's Reckless. But, it's a new year. Got to crown a new champion, just like they do in sports. So be sure to follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Stitcher, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Give us 5 stars and a great review. Follow us on all the socials. You know what they are at this point. And check out the website, coldcansnetwork.com. That's coldcansnetwork.com. We've got a shop and blog content updated for you. And check out the new Parker McCollum unreleased acoustic version of Stoned that's on there now. So for this episode of Country Coal Cans presented by the Cold Cans Network, I'm Logan, Sniff Trucker Andy, and PK Kyle. We will see you next time.